Okay, so now we are going to create one robot model inside of Cinema 4D. So let's start with this. Now over here, as you guys know that we have this face selection tool, point tool and edge tool, and over here we will get our selection tool. But I'm going to use this option again and again. So what I'm going to do, I'll simply click over here. So it will automatically separate these options so I can select them again and again. Now we will start with the very basic structure of this robot. So simply add one cube over here and make this object editable. Now I'm going to select my point tool and I'll go to my front view. I'll select my rectangle selection tool. I'll select this much portion and press T for scaling option, and we will decrease the size a little bit. Okay, like this. Now let's select this and let's decrease the size from here also. Okay, so our basic thing is done. Now select this object and make sure to enable polygons. Hit Ctrl A to select all of them. Right click and go to the loop path cut, and by holding shift I am going to create one cut over here, and with the help of this plus icon I'll increase the size of it. I'll add the numbers of it. Now after that I'll create one point over here also, one edge over here also. Now I'll select my live selection tool. I'll select this and this, and I'll press T on my keyboard, and now I want to extrude them on both the sides. So there is another way you can do that. Simply hold Control and increase the size of it like this, so you will get this kind of extrusion over here. Now let's go to the front view. I'll select my points. I'll select my rectangle selection tool. I'll select this 4 points over here and I'll bring this upwards. Then I'll select these points and I'll bring this upwards like this. Okay, so we will get this simple structure. Now after that, what we need over here, let's go to the right view over here and we will select all these points over here. Let's press T for opacity and let's bring them over here like this. Okay, now after that I'll select these points. I'll select this rectangle selection tool and I'll select those points. I'll press R on my keyboard and I'll rotate them like this, like so. I'll get this kind of structure. Then I'll select this, I'll select those points, I'll press R and I'll rotate it like this. Okay, so we will get this kind of structure over here. Now after that I'll select this cube. I'll select my face. By holding shift I'll select this and this option over here, and I'll hold Control and first of all press T, and by holding Control I'm going to decrease it once, then again hold Control and decrease the size again. Okay, so as you guys can see we will get this cut and this cut over here. Now after that I'll select this portion and this portion. By holding right click I'm going to enable my inner extrude and I'm going to extrude this inwards like this. Let's extrude it more. As you guys can see we will get something like this. Now press T on your keyboard and by holding Control I'm going to decrease it like this. So as you guys can see now both of them are inwards. Now I'll select these points and by holding Control A I'll select all the points, right click and choose optimize. Okay, so we will get something like this. Now what will happen if I bring my subdivision surface and if I select this cube and if I move inside the subdivision surface, I'll get this kind of structure. So if you hit Control R we will get this kind of stuff. Now let's hide this subdivision surface. Now select this cube over here and select our edges and press UL on your keyboard to select your loop selection tool, or simply right click over here. Then can select from here also, or you can go to the select options. Then you will find the loop selection tool over here. Simply press UL, shortcut key is UL, and then I'm going to select this and this edge, then this and this edge. Right click and we will choose bevel. Now as you guys know what bevel do, if you increase it it will create two edges, separate edges, and now if you enable this subdivision surface you will get different results over here. Okay, same procedure we will follow for inside the edges also. So select this, select your edges, press UL again and we will select the edges which are inside of it like this, and by holding shift I'll select this edge also. Right click and choose bevel and simply increase the offset. and now if you see, we will get something like this. If you hit Control R, we will get something like this. But if you see, the render looks quite weird, because if you see in subdivision surface, the subdivision editor is 2. So if you increase it, it will add more edges, and now your render will look smoother. Okay, so this is just for once. And now there is another thing that we need to do over here. Now I want separate color for this one, but if I enable this, then as you guys can see, it will take a lot of time to to select all of these edges and apply a separate color. So now what I'm gonna do, I'll select this cube, I'll select my face selection tool, and I'll select this life selection, and I'll select this face and this face. And now I want to this entire mesh should be separated. So right click over here and you will get this option called split. So simply click on it like this. Now if you see over here, this one, let's bring this outwards, and if you hide this one, as you guys can see, this is one separate selection. So now you can apply different color to this and different color to this. Okay, so we will talk about that later. But now as you guys can see, if you want, then you can name it, let's call it as main chest and hit enter. Let's select this selection and let's call it as, let's say, neck, and hit enter. Okay, so now if I enable this subdivision surface for this, but as you guys can see, this looks different, so we will add another subdivision surface. I'll select this neck and I'll move inside this, and if you want, then you can increase the what we call subdivision editor. So we have this one is separated and this one is separated. Now what I'm gonna do, let's hide this subdivision surface and this one by holding alt. As you guys know that we can hide this headlights. Now let's select this neck. I'm going to select my face selection and hit Control A, right click and choose extrude, and extrude this outwards like this. Okay, and now if you enable this subdivision surface, as you guys can see, we will get a little bit of addition of polar mesh. And now let's enable all of them even in subdivision surface, and if you hit Control R, as you guys can see, this is a separate selection and this one is separate selection. Okay, so chest portion is almost ready.